Hi, it's Nino, and thanks for tuning in to this episode of Where's the Nuance. Today I'm joined by Koji Aiken. He's a D&B drum and bass artist from North Vancouver, and I've actually known him almost all my life. We grew up living very parallel lives, always in different schools, but in very similar communities. And today on this episode, he's going to share with us a lot of really valuable information. You're going to hear a lot about his own artist journey, and he's also providing a lot of actionable advice regarding how you might approach your own artistic endeavors or journey. How rest, collaboration, and learning when to pivot are key lessons for you to learn on your own artist journey. And we also talk about the philosophical approaches that have served Koji on his artist journey and in life in general. This was a really great conversation with a wise, talented artist, Koji Aiken. Thanks for watching.
Dude, yes, super happy to be here.
So for anyone tuning in, thank you for being here on Where's the Nuance. Now, Koji is a DJ, a producer, an artist of all counts, and the reason I wanted to have him on the show today is because I have seen his journey since he was probably 10 years old. I think we played soccer together in North Vancouver, growing up in the same neighborhood, going to, similar parties, always witnessing one another from an outside perspective. Both of us ended up on our own journeys as artists, discovering ourselves. However, Koji has consistently applied himself as a musical artist, and I want him here today to share some of the wisdom he's learned, hopefully to provide some actionable steps. Part of why I'm really a big fan of you, Koji, as a person is you have consistently always, how do I say this, been a hustler. You haven't just tried one thing and then when it didn't give you fruits right away, you said, oh, I guess it's not for me, or made yourself out to be a victim. I have witnessed you from the outside consistently see, okay, if they're not putting on any good shows, how can I become the person who puts on the shows? Okay, that's, always creating the structure yourself as opposed to being like a passive actor in the artist industry. So why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about what you're doing now, who you are, and how you got here.
For sure, yeah. So for those who don't know me, my name is Koji Aiken. I'm a drum and bass artist and influencer now. And I also started running shows again through my event company, Kumo, and this other side project called the Uprise Project. Now, when I first started, it really was, I started getting into this whole music thing right after high school. I just kind of, you get out of high school, the world's your oyster kind of thing. And so I really had a lot of space to be like, what do I want to do? And so I was listening to Kid Cudi one day in the forest and just like something clicked. It was just like, yo, these sounds are really crazy. Like, let's see if we can try and like, it can't be like that crazy to try and learn how to do this. Right. So it was just like, it all started with an intrinsic belief of being like, yeah, like if there's something that I want to do, if I spend like enough time and like effort at putting like my life into it, like something will come out of it, whether it's like a hobby or a career or whatever, But it was just like, it was like an intrinsic kind of like thing where I was just like, oh, I need to do this. So yeah, from there, just started DJing, or I started making a little bit of music, went to university, discovered DJing, and started DJing all the parties around campus and stuff. And yeah, and then obviously COVID hit, and then really from that point on, really started digging myself into the whole artist label and really started making music and went on that kind of journey of discovery. And now, yeah, it's I would assume I'd call myself a budding artist. I've got a couple songs out. We're still in the process of building the whole brand, but seeing a lot of success with what we've made so far, and really excited to keep growing and developing as an artist.
Amazing story. Now, there's a lot of people who want to be artists out there. A lot of people are allured by the idea of fame, of money, of parties,
Yeah,
right? These things, at least in the cultural landscape, are tied into the entertainment industry.
100%.
I know that being a university or a DJ on a lot of university campuses, I'm sure you were exposed to a lot of that lifestyle. I'm curious to know, was that something that ever stood as a barrier towards developing yourself as an artist, or was it something that actually helped support it because it was fun? Where did you find yourself amidst that?
When I first became a DJ, I really kind of got lost in it all because it's so exciting when you first get you get like first couple opportunities, like you're the star of the show and like you're getting so much love, and it's like you get addicted to that feeling. But I think at the end of the day, it's like it's a big distraction from like really being a genuine artist to yourself. Like I know tons of DJs who like they DJ purely for the fact that they love to party and they love being the center of attention. Like not that that's like a wrong way to go about it, but like really I think like if you want to be an artist, it's a lot deeper than that. It's really about expressing your views and kind of really showcasing creativity in ways that like people have never seen or heard before, right? So I think I'd say there's a lot of flex culture in like the nightlife and the entertainment industry, and it's like um, being in that, you got to be careful of letting yourself get carried away with that. So I think in that sense, it can be a huge barrier if you don't have a good hold on, letting it consume you. But it took me a bit of time to really kind of settle into who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. But and like everyone goes through it, right? Like everyone gets super excited the first time they like go up on stage and play, and like you come off stage and everyone's like, "Oh, dude, you killed it!" Like that feeling is can be super addicting, and it's like a great motivator, but it's so easy to get lost in, right? So I think just being aware that it is a thing is super crucial, and not letting it divert you from your like bigger goals is like the key to really being able to succeed in this industry, you know?
Take me to the first moment that you felt that, like a genuine, like, holy shit, I'm the fucking man. Like this feels,
I can't lie, man. It's like I was raised on it, you know. Like
yeah.
as you know, my dad is a juggler, right? So as a kid, he really put his talents and try and push that onto me. And I gratefully like loved all the opportunities he created. You know, I got to go like do shows with my dad. Like I got put in front of an audience, and like even through high school, like I was a dancer, you know. So like I was always in front of people entertaining, and it's just like I think it was just like the first like it really just came natural to me, and it was just like a natural sense of like, oh, like I get this energy, and it's like I want to give it back. It's an exchange. Like it's super addicting, you know, for any performer. I ask any performer, like that's what they fall in love with is the exchange between like giving the crowd something and then getting their reaction and then using that energy to like fuel you. And I think the first time I really felt that was probably when I was doing street shows just at the Key, you know, just at Lonsdale Key, which is like a little spot in North Vancouver, and they had like a little dock where I would just set up shop and just juggle and do like little like skits and whatnot, and like just getting that positive reinforcement was like I was like, damn, like I need this, you know what I mean? Like I live for this.
From a young age, because your father was a juggler and he brought you into that entertainment realm, you've been tasting it. I wonder then,
Mm-hmm.
I find it very probable that part of the reason why in university, when you received that positive attention from DJing specifically,
Yeah,
it didn't probably feel too over consuming because in a way your ego was used to receiving it. You know what I mean? It wasn't
totally.
such a
Yeah.
foreign object that holy shit, I have to do it for this, but rather you had already begun to understand the
It was a part
relationship
of it.
dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big part of it, and it was just like growing up performing. It's like I had like lots of experience in front of the crowd, so I knew how to keep my composure and like not let the fame and the starlight really get the best of me, right? Like at the end of the day, you're still there to do a job, and you're still there to like get like essentially get a job done, which is entertain the audience, you know. And it's like I really do think that like being grounded to some extent is like super key to giving the best performance that you can. So yeah, I do think that like having that experience growing up definitely didn't make it as overwhelming, and like I didn't like wash me over as crazy, but it's still like I still experienced that, like the first time you like play music in front of a crowd, it's like it's unlike anything you'll ever feel.
The girls coming up after, hi,
Oh my
introducing
god.
themselves.
Yeah,
You're like,
no, it's yeah, like I mean, again, it's like super fun and fresh when it first gets started, but like it gets old pretty fast. Like I love being washed over with attention, and like yeah, sure the girls are like a fun part of it or whatever, when it first started, but like after a while it's just the same thing, and you're like, oh, it's just another distraction. Like I gotta stay focused. I can't let it like deter me from like what I want to do, which is throw a good party.
well, speaking of deterring, let's be honest, the artist journey hasn't been easy. And I just
Bro,
assume that I don't even fully know your story, but I just know the reality, right?
it's challenging for sure.
COVID hits, expectations, maybe you're doing the same thing, you feel like you're hitting plateaus. What have been some of the biggest challenges that you've had to face as an artist, and how have you approached or pivoted in respect to approaching each one of these challenges?
So I think like I've got like two answers for this. One of the biggest challenges of being an artist is plateauing, I think. Like there's tons of times where it's like no matter how hard you work or how many hours that you put in, you're not gonna be able to push past where you already are. And it's like that's just a natural part of the whole process, right? I think it's natural to get stuck at certain points, and I really think at those moments you really need to take a step back and like reevaluate and like figure out, okay, like what am I doing that's not, or like where am I trying to go and what am I doing that's preventing me from getting there. And like even just taking like a week off sometimes can be like the key to giving yourself the space to figure it out, whether it is like whether you're actively trying to figure it out or if you just let your subconscious mind kind of process everything that you're going through. But I usually find that like taking a step back is super crucial for that. So I think in terms of that, like plateauing is probably one of the biggest challenges. And the second biggest challenge is just being able to adapt to the demands of being an artist, right? Like a lot of like you said, like times change all the time, right? Like when COVID hit, like no one could do shows. So it's like, okay, well, like how do you pivot so you can continue growing, right? And so for me, what I did was I knowing that there wasn't any shows, I got an opportunity to work out of a media studio and I was running DJ live streams in this and it was like every Friday we do like four DJs every Friday, but like during COVID when like there was nothing going on, like that was like a beacon of light to like all the artists in the city, you know what I mean? And it was like when I first started, it was like cool. It was an opportunity for me, but then it's like when I started expanding and like giving that opportunity to other people, it like really kind of opened up a lot of doors. And like I met and connected with so many of the very talented artists in Vancouver, right? So really being able to pivot a situation to work to your advantage and also to the advantage of the community around you is one of the best ways to kind of get around the challenge of changing times, because collaboration is the key to succeeding with everyone, right?
I love that. So
Mm-hmm.
collaboration and pivoting as being markers or necessary markers of success. You know, I really agree with that. And just in general, let's take a step back from the artist life.
Yeah.
I think people in life, I think the biggest failures in life, and I say this with love and respect as much as I can have it, the people that I see as the biggest failures in life are the people who had an idea as a very young age, got very, very attached to that one specific thing working out in a very specific way, and
Yeah.
they never stop to do what you said. Take that week off, assess if it's even working, and if it's not, how can I pivot or get creative? How can I collaborate?
Yeah.
Those are the people you meet at. I've met a lot of actors in the industry who I'm like, or people who call themselves actors, and this is so mean of me, but like people I'm like, bro, you've never gotten a job. You've
Yeah.
never even really developed yourself as an actor. There's so many workshops and things, and you just kind of thought you could do it, but you didn't
Yeah.
take the steps. Like I know, for instance, you went to audio engineering school,
Yeah.
and it's like you put in a lot of work to make this possible beyond just the like hard work. You learned a lot of
Yeah.
technical skills. So when I see people like yourself that I'm like, okay, you're talented, you also got the education, and even you have to pivot sometimes.
100 all the time, dude, all
Like,
the
yeah.
damn time. Yeah. So I think, yeah, just like that's like such a big thing, right? Is people get comfortable in the way that they do things and they really try and push it harder and harder, even though, like I think a great example of this is just like a lot of influencers on TikTok, like a lot of them have fallen off over the last 3 years because of the changes that were introduced on the platform, right? And it's like I can see people still trying to like hammer home the same style of content, and it's just like it worked 3 years ago, but there isn't any change, right? So I mean, that's just one example of the many different examples in our world of people really holding on to something. And I think it just comes from a place of like comfort and being scared to try something new and like be uncomfortable, right? Like I think being uncomfortable is one of the biggest indicators of growth. And so when people are not willing to put themselves out there and like push themselves and like try new things and be uncomfortable, then yeah, they get stuck in these cycles where they think, like things don't work out, they try do it twice as hard and then put twice as much energy in, and then the failure feels like twice as big because they doubled down, right?
You said You mentioned social media here.
Yeah.
I know that there is, especially among musicians, this kind of apathy, or at least I've seen online, apathy towards the fact that a lot of musicians now have to become influencers. I'm
Yeah.
curious as to what your perspective is on this. Is the internet and the fact that now we have access to so many people a hindrance because, oh no, you can't just focus on the music? Or is it like, well, actually, no, this is an incredible opportunity to connect, to share more about who you are, because you are more than just the music. What's your take on the fact that a lot of musicians or people who typically wouldn't have to make content now feel this increasing pressure to create content online?
I think it's like it's all perspective, right? Like it can be viewed as a blessing or it can be viewed as a curse, right? Like and I'll explain both sides. So it's a blessing because it's really been able to give artists a platform who normally wouldn't be able to have a platform, like back like 10 years ago, like record labels were kind of running everything and like they got to choose like who blew up and who got to be seen, and now we have this amazing platform where anybody can get discovered. And I think the biggest thing with discovery is the quality of what you're putting out. Like I'm virtually carried by the quality of the songs that I share because it's just like I don't have any high production. I'm literally making videos in my kitchen, just like dancing around, right? Like nothing crazy. Anyone can do it, but it's this, yeah, exactly, just finger guns and all that. But it's really the really the big differentiator between videos for me that go viral and not is like how good and like how much a song like resonates with people, right? So I think in that sense, it's awesome for a lot of like smaller unknown artists to be able to tap into a bigger audience. Now on the other side, on the flip side, it's a curse because you have all these established artists and like people who are making waves that now have to add like a part-time job of like creating content and like really trying to figure out this whole new platform. But like I think the biggest thing that people don't really realize is like it's kind of just the evolution of the music industry, and it's like you can't really fight it, right? Because if you try and like sit and ignore it or try and like complain about it, there's going to be some kid who's going to work twice as hard as you in the basement to like make 100 videos, and like that kid is more likely to get, like that kid has a better chance of like blowing up because of the effort that he's putting in and just like the quantity that he's putting out compared to the artist who's like been a little bit established and just thinks that their music is enough to carry them, right? Like I think it's just another tool to add to the tool belt, right?
I heard in a way, I hope this doesn't come off as annoying, but you
Yeah.
said in a way you found that your music or part of the videos that do well is when you know that a song is connecting and resonating. Yet at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, a lot of more established artists feel like, well, the music is good and does resonate. Why should I then have to make the content?
Yeah.
Um, do you feel like maybe this is just the great equalizer?
Mm, yes and no. Like like there's like it is and it isn't. It is because yes, like the quality of the song is like the song is the most important piece of the recipe, right? Like you can't have success without a good song. So like having a good song is, but it's only like half the battle, right? Like the other half is like understanding the platforms and like how to create for these platforms, right? Like a video that like you create for TikTok, might not necessarily do as well on like a platform like YouTube or Facebook Reels or whatever it is, right? Like so it's really being able to understand the audience of these platforms and figuring out how to deliver the the song in a way that resonates on that platform, right? So um I think yeah, like it's two sides to it again, right? Like one is like, yeah, it's an equalizer, yes, because anyone has access to this platform, anyone has access to this world fan base that they can like tap into. But it comes with the cost of understanding and learning how to create for these platforms, right? Like a big artist, like a major league artist isn't like if he just posts a video of himself. I mean, if you like celebrities are a little bit of a different
Yeah.
case because like they already have a big fan base. But it's like if you're an up and coming artist and like you just post a clip of your song with the artwork, like I can guarantee, like on put that on like Instagram or TikTok, like I can guarantee it's just not going to do well because those platforms require like a connection, right? Like it needs a face, it needs someone talking to them, it needs like someone like you or me to be like, hey, like I just found this song for you, like go check this out, and then it's like you got to give context to what you're showing to people, or else they're just not going to understand like what's going on.
How do you feel about the fact that through this, because like you said, it's an evolving landscape digitally, it now requires a connection, a person, and for you, a face to be present. Do you ever, what are your thoughts regarding the sense of commodifying yourself, your being now? Now you're more than just an artist who makes music. You're a human being who is also an artist, and people are connecting with Koji the person as
Yeah.
well as Koji the artist. Do you ever feel any inner conflict regarding it, or because you were always drawn towards entertainment and the inevitability of fame being so parallel to success, is that a conversation you already dealt with?
I think for me, just like I like and like I go back to like my upbringing for this, but like I really had a strong sense of like just being true to myself and like really, doing what made me happy. So like I think for me, when I put myself out there, it's not hard to be genuine, and I'm like not scared to be myself, which makes the whole process a lot easier, right? Like I don't have to put on a face. I'm not trying to impress anyone. Like I'm literally just putting myself out there because I want to share my thoughts and like share my passion with people in the world, right? So I think in that sense, like yeah, like if you're able to be genuine on these platforms, then it's like there shouldn't be a lot of problem of putting yourself out there. Where I think the problem comes is like people have this expectation that they think that they need to be someone to impress other people. And when those expectations come into play, then obviously you're playing a lot with your identity and like who you think you are. And it's like if you're putting out a disingenuous version of yourself out into the world, obviously there's going to be a little friction between that and like your self-image and like what you think of yourself, right? So I think really being able to be self-aware enough to understand who you are as a person and know how to package that in the form of like a video or whatever is like the key to success.
That's beautiful. And I think so many young artists need to hear that, because I know even with myself, when I was making music, I was so convinced that I had to have a tough guy persona. But I'm like, I'm actually like super sensitive and soft and like deep, and I read
Yeah.
philosophy and psychology. Like, who the fuck am I to, I'm not a gangster. Like,
No.
but I was so
But
convinced I had to put a persona out. So what do you say to the young artist who's like, well, Koji, yeah, because you're a cool guy, but I don't see myself as cool. Like, how am I supposed to? I just really like music. What's your word of advice for maybe someone who's struggling to see themselves as who they are as worthwhile?
I think it really comes down to, figuring out like what makes you happy, like what makes you genuinely happy for you, like not what you think other people like what you think other people will make you happy or whatever it is, right? It's like it's a very intrinsic journey that you and it like really comes down to being self-aware of like who you are and like what you like to do, right? And it's like if you are struggling to really answer these questions of like who you are, then it's like I would spend some time just like going on self-discovery, right? Like going on journeys of figuring out like what it is that you actually like and what you're passionate about. Because once you figure out what you're passionate about, it's like it's a really key kind of ingredient to figuring out who you are as a person and how you want to like put yourself out there, right? Like the way that everything kind of works nowadays is like everything is about a niche or like surrounding yourself around a certain topic, and like there are people out there who are into all sorts of different topics, and it's really come to really the whole process has come down to figuring out how do you find those people, right? Like how do you find people who are interested in the same things that you are, and how do you connect with them, right? Which goes back to the whole thing of like being the face of someone that's interested in this, right? Like I'm sure I can guarantee there's other people in the world who are like struggling to figure out what they like, and maybe all they need is like a video from someone who's passionate about that subject to show them that it's okay to like that subject, right? Like
That is both, just in the extreme world, that's both the best and the worst thing about the internet. Because if you're like, I really love racism, it's like you'll find people online now,
share
because
that
it's
thought,
true.
right?
It's in a way,
Yeah.
it's like, and if you're really passionate about it, you will attract other people. That's part of a cultural conversation, maybe a bit bigger than the one we're having around
It's
the,
dangerous though. You got to be
yeah,
careful, right?
yeah, the internet creates pockets of, well, like you said, niches. And niches are not just quirky
Yeah.
and fun or D&B or psychology or self-discovery, but
Whatever. Yeah.
I won't strive too far in that direction. Koji, let's say for you, man, like you say you keep coming back to this idea that in your life you were lucky enough to have, I think you have a great family.
Yeah,
I've always been on I've known of Koji's family. They're like a great family. Like just
insane.
like
Yeah,
nicest dad when he would come to soccer. Nice
yeah,
mom, such a sweet mother. Oh, she
yeah.
was so good. Would she always bring
Everyone
us
is so good.
oranges?
Yeah, she'd be the orange girl.
She'd be
She'd
the
be so
orange girl. Hell
pretty.
yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. But on that note, is your family the reason why you feel like you were able to discover so many parts of yourself growing up? Or what are some of the like tips you would give to someone around that self-discovery journey that maybe you've learned around certain practices or, taking risks? How did you learn to discover yourself, and how can someone else maybe learn something from that?
Yeah, I mean, I was, like you said, I was so incredibly lucky to have the family that I did. Like, I was raised on um, I was raised with the mentality of being able to have a space for myself where I could discover. There was no judgment, there was no anything. My parents were always like, "Hey, like, what do you want to do? Like, we'll support you 100%," right? So it really gave me the opportunity to try all these different things and figure out what it was that I didn't like about them and what I did like about them, and really bring them forward into like my next experiences, right? So but I also understand like not everyone is as fortunate as I am to have had that experience, right? But something that you can do now is just like try new things, like try and come from a place of not of non-judgment, being open and accepting of like things like failure and like knowing that if you try something it might not be the thing that you wanted, but also understanding that learning what you don't like is just as equally as important as learning what you do like, right? Like maybe you figure out that you don't like I don't know, like psychology or something, right? But from that you learned a lot about how the human mind thinks, and maybe you want to do something with like social work, and so maybe that's the next step, right? Or like so it's really about being open to all the opportunities that are ahead of you, and like really not shutting them down before you give them a shot. Like I know that's like pretty cliche, but like I do really think that yeah, like just creating a space for yourself to be open and try things and like not judge yourself. Whether it is whether you're judging yourself or other people are judging you. Like create an environment where like you can try things and not be afraid to like fail or not be afraid to do those things, right?
Speaking of judgment, as artists, I feel like artists tend to struggle with the voice of the inner critic, especially when it comes to their own art. Is that a
Yeah.
voice that you've had to
Oh yeah,
confront?
still every day, every day, every decision that I make, it's always you backtrack a little bit and you're like, oh wait, did I make the right decision there? Oh, did I do the right thing here, right? But really, I'm starting to understand that it's like that voice is so much louder in your head than it is in the real world, right? Like what you're saying to yourself is like 100x what other people are thinking of you. There might be some people who'd be like, oh, like that song's not that great, but it's like it doesn't go into the same depth of being like, oh, like this song sucks because A B C D E F G Y. You know what I mean? Like you can like ponder on that. So like I'm really trying to and it goes back to being accepting, like accept the mistakes that you made and accept the choices that you made for what they are, and like try and move forward from them. Take those failures as lessons and really try and improve on the next thing, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like if you stay stuck on that same like one thing for months, then it's like that's how you end up plateauing. Is
Mm.
you just never move forward from a decision or a choice that you made.
This might be, more prying question. What
Yeah.
do you feel like has been your biggest failure as an artist, and what was the lesson you learned from it?
Ooh, this is a good. I don't know, man. That's a lot. That's a heavy question. Um, I think my mm, it's hard because it's like I've genuinely tried to be as true to myself through my journey as possible. So I look back at all the mistakes that I made, and it's like I still am like I understand and see where I made the mistakes, but I'm also like accepting of myself of them and like what I've done. I think honestly the biggest mistake that I made was trying to do things. But it's like you do need to do. I was gonna say trying to do everything like on your own. But there are certain times where you do need to do everything on your own.
Where's the
I'd say
nuance, right? This is the
yeah,
nuance.
this is the new one. Yeah, I would honestly, but it's like yeah, I would say yeah, like trying to accomplish everything on my own was the biggest mistake that I've made, like you're only a single human being with one brain with 24 hours in a day, and it's like the demands of trying to do something creative or really trying to strive for something, whether it's like a business or a podcast or whatever it is, right? Like it's impossible to do everything on your own if you want to like get to the point where, I mean, it also depends on like what you define success, but it's like I know a lot of creative people are also extremely ambitious, and I'd say a majority of them can't do it on their own. I've tried to do it on my own, and it's like I just got burnt out, like, and then I hated what I was doing because I was so tired all the time. So yeah, just being able to manage that relationship with yourself and with burnout and the amount of like effort and time that you're putting in, and learning to be patient with the process and understand that things do take time to develop. And like I said, going back to the whole plateau thing, is like maybe you do need to take a week off, and like that week off is going to do more for you than trying to like kill yourself trying to do as much as you can in that week. You know what I mean?
From what I have witnessed online and what you share, I get this subtle, this wisdom, this feeling that Koji is living through some broader principles, some broader philosophies. What are these philosophies, beliefs that seem to be influencing the way you approach the nuance of the artist's journey? Because you have this acceptance, this understanding of patience. What are the philosophies that you tend to ascribe and that have helped you along in the artist's journey?
Yeah, this is a great question. So some of the core philosophies that I really focus on is just doing what makes you happy. Like my dad drilled that into me ever since I was a kid. And really, at the end of the day, like you are taking yourself to the grave, and there's not really anyone else that you can, like when you die, it's not like your worth, the worth of your life isn't measured by how many people you made happy. It's how happy you made yourself doing what you did, right? So I think really being focusing on like what makes you happy and what's genuine to you and like what you genuinely enjoy is so crucial, especially as an artist where you need to be the best version of yourself. You need to be, you know, creating a life for yourself where you can be the best version of yourself. So yeah, I would say doing what makes you happy, whether it is what the masses want or not, is extremely crucial to the success of a healthy artist mindset. Another thing that I think is really important is just patience. Like understanding that these things will take time. Like and like this was instilled to me by Gary Vee. I'm a huge Gary Vee fan, and like I've grown up on him for the last like 5-6 years, just watching his stuff. And one of the first things that really struck me was just like, I was like this ambitious 20, 21-year-old or whatever, and I was like, I felt like I needed to take on the world. And this one message that he kept repeating was, like you have 10 years to figure out how to do this, and even if you don't figure it out after 10 years, you're going to be like 30, 31, and you still have the rest of your life to figure it out, right? So really, I think, understanding the scope of these things, and it's like it's crazy too, because like the scope of these things isn't as long as people think they are, right? Like you can get a lot of stuff accomplished in 5 years. Most success stories are within a 5-year frame, you know what I mean? Whether it's sports or, really successful financial people or, philosophers or whatever. It's like there like I think 5 years is a great time frame for you to give yourself, because it's long enough where you can like make significant success, and by the end of those 5 years you'll be able to gauge, hey, okay, like looking back 5 years from now or 5 years ago, like am I going towards the goals that I want to? And if so, then great, just keep continuing the path that you're going down. But after 5 years, if you realize, hey, this isn't really what I want to do, it's like you can still pivot and do something else, right? And still have plenty of time to figure it out, right? So I think that's also another thing. And then the last thing, the last kind of philosophy that like really drives me to live the life that I do is just like put 100% into everything that you do. You know what I mean? Like there's no point in like holding back. If you are holding back and being like, hey, like I really want to put my all into this, like really assess with yourself. Is it an energy problem? Is it like something that like you just don't have the energy to put 100% in? And even if you can't put 100% in, and you only have 80%, that's still 100% that you're giving, right? Like you're still putting in the most that you can. But if it's the other side of the story where it's like you're not putting 100% in because you just don't care, then like maybe that's a chance for you to like, or maybe that's a chance for you to like take a step back and be like, what is it that I don't like about this? Like, is it the actual thing that I don't like? Like for example, for you, it's like in your artist journey, you love the writing aspect of it, but you hated the performance, right? And it's like being able to take a step back and like understand that, you've been able to carry your writing and storytelling skills into a different medium. So you get to carry what you loved about that, but you're not performing and doing the things that you didn't want to do, right?
100%. I love, part of why I related to you, or I love the philosophy you share around pivoting, and I do think it's so important. Is my entire life I have had so many dreams because I'm an excitable person. I'm
Yeah.
eccentric, energetic, and I love things. And I'm just very curious.
Yes.
But I'm very happy that in that curiosity, I haven't been too attached. Luckily, because one of the things I became involved in was spirituality and the idea of non-attachment.
Yeah.
Because of that, I was always doing this kind of assessment that you're talking about, of looking at my life and being like, is this even making me happy? Okay, if not, why am I so attached to this? Well, I guess
Yeah.
those are my attachments. I'm attached to being this. Okay, that role's not working. Take it off. You can try something
Yeah.
else on. And that has created a life that for me feels so fruitful, feels so exciting because I was, like you said, I tried so many things. I got to see all the no's.
Yeah.
That's why I definitely don't like that. But then also the things I do like about it. Like I do love art, but man, intense fame, it's not for me. I'm an addict. I'm an alcoholic. Like I wouldn't do well in it. It just didn't do
No,
good for me. I
yeah,
had
it'd
the
be
smallest taste and it wasn't good for me.
totally, yeah.
But yeah, I love that about the pivoting. I just feel like it's so seminal. It's so important. It's something
Yeah.
that a lot of young people I think need to hear, because at the same time, even Gary Vee's story, Alex Hormozy, any of these people achieving great things, they were always pivoting. That's literally the greatest piece of wisdom in business is like, dude, it's not personal. You fuck up, you fail, get up and try something new.
Exactly. Yeah. Just
You
just
know?
being able to have that on your shoulders and just being able to have the fortitude to push through and try something new is like also like a skill in and of itself. You know what I mean? Being able to persevere through the difficult times and like like even like also like being able to let go of something that you put so much of your life into and accepting the fact that it just didn't work. Like that's a hard thing to do, but it's like the value that you get out of that is insane. Like it's tenfold of trying to hold on to the thing that wasn't working.
Amen. Amen. It becomes a weight. I like the philosophy you share around, you said try 100%. I live by Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements. I try
Yeah.
to. I'm not perfect, but
No
like
one
they're like,
is.
be impeccable with your word. Try your best, like 100%. Don't take things personally, and then don't make assumptions.
Yeah.
Those for me, wonderful. And I think you kind of touched on all of them because as an artist, you said, yeah, people might not like something or a song wasn't received as well. You don't need to go make a million assumptions about why. Like, oh, they fucking
No.
hate me. I'm a piece of like, no.
No, it's like that's just the way that things go, right? Like some things hit and some things don't. And a lot of the times the things that you don't expect to hit are the things that hit. And the things that you do expect to hit aren't the things that actually hit that well. So you're really blinded by your own biases, right? And being able to have an understanding of that and knowing that the world just works in ways that you'll never know. And sometimes you just got to put it out there and hope for the best. Like that's all you can do. Like having that mentality is just so key to being able to push forward and go to the next thing, right?
100%. So, Koji, you are in the midst of this journey. You're a
Yes.
budding artist. You've defined yourself in this way. You have pivoted from DJing, starting your own production house, to now becoming
Yeah.
your own artist, really stepping into what that means. You're focusing on drum and bass, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah, that's right.
Love that super fucking wild
High
music, just
energy,
high energy. Yeah, every time I see one of those songs on online, I'm like, oh, I gotta be at a regular.
I just hope I'm putting smiles on people's faces. That's all.
You're definitely putting a smile on my face. What is the biggest question that still roams in your mind in terms of your artist journey?
Oh, dude, easy. Am I gonna make it? Am
Yeah.
I gonna make it? And that's just a daunting kind of thought that looms over a lot of artists. But I really think that like as I'm starting to kind of like grow into this role a little bit more, it's really it's not about am I gonna make it, but like what does making it look like and how am I gonna do that, right? So it's dissecting that first question into two. And again, like it goes back to the thing of like maybe it's time for me to like take a step back. Or I guess not yet, because it's like we have a lot of things going on over the next couple months. But like I can guarantee, like during the winter or something, like I slow down a lot mentally, and like I need to take things a little slower. Like I'm definitely gonna take this winter as a chance for me to like reevaluate and be like, okay, like this is what we did. What did I like about it? What didn't I like about it? And where do I want to go with things? And then once you have those three pieces of information, it's a lot easier to formulate a plan of like how am I going to get there. So yeah, the biggest question still is like, am I going to make it? It's like it's an anxiety that's never going to go away, I don't think, right? Because it's like even if I get booked for like all my favorite shows and like all my favorite festivals and stuff, which fingers crossed that does happen, it's like I'm still like cursed by my ambition to think, okay, what's next? Like what's the next big thing? How do I get, you know what I mean? It's like I don't think I'm still like a far ways away of being satisfied with this journey so far. So, and until that like anxiety of am I gonna make it goes away, I think I'm just gonna keep like diving and driving home and just keeping going.
A question that's dominated my own mind this year as an ambitious individual myself is, can I allow myself to find contentment within my ambition? Is there a version of myself that mentally renounces the attachment to the ambition
Yeah.
while maintaining the habits and discipline required for the ambitious goal?
Yeah, that's high level thinking right there.
I'm on that
Extremely.
high level shit.
Oh yeah. No doubt, no doubt.
And
Yeah.
and so I'm curious, I'm guessing that's something you're probably thinking of, right? Can I be content while also fucking keep
Like
going?
gunning for it. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like what you just said is like exactly what I said, just a different way, right? It's like when I say it's like, am I gonna make it? Like there is that attachment of like, I want to find success in this journey and I really want to make this work, right? But then um it goes back to that the second half where it's like you let go of that idea and then you start thinking about things a little bit more logically, and you're like, hey, okay, like what is it that I want to do, and like how am I going to do that, right? Like and it really goes to that same thing where it's like you lose the anxious attachment that you have with the goal, and then you kind of look at like, okay, like I've got all these like crazy tools that I have now that like I can utilize. How do I utilize them to best achieve where I want to go? Which kind of goes to like, okay, like how do I be content with where I am, and how do I keep going towards where I want to go while not being driven by negative factors of like fear and what is it, like a lack of, like what is it,
A
it's
lack of scarcity.
yeah, a scarcity mindset versus an abundant mindset, right?
That's beautiful. Now, there's no doubt you're an artist, you're ambitious, your goals are huge, and you're
Too
getting
big.
booked for shows, but there's always more.
Yeah.
Let's come back to the human, Koji.
Okay.
Every artist at the end of the day, we're people. What are
Yeah.
the things that you've learned to introduce in your life that do add to that sense of peace, happiness, joy, that aren't necessarily in the striving towards something?
Yeah, I mean, like one of the biggest things that I've learned for me personally is that like like the time that you like rest is the most important time for me now. Like it used to be like I was never allowing myself to take some time off, and like I was never, and even when I did take time off to like like go for a walk or like play video games or do whatever I needed to do to decompress, like I felt guilty that I was doing that because I was like, I'm not working towards things, I'm like not working towards the goals or whatever. But like now it's like like I've taken some time to really be assess like where I'm at with my energy levels and just be like, okay, like can I go as hard as I want to today? And if not, like, okay, well, like how do I make the most of this day so I can get myself back to 100%? Because a lot of people don't realize, but it's like you can do more in 4 hours at 100% than you can in 8 hours at 50%. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Or it's sorry, it's like you can get the same amount of time work done, but like it's condensed to half the time, right? If you're 100%, and then if you have 4 extra hours to like do things like take care of yourself or like sleep, or eat, which I know a lot of artists forget to do, right? Like, so really understanding that in order to be the best version of yourself, you need to also take care of yourself and make sure that you are at 100%, right? So really being able to to relish in that time and enjoy that time too, right? Like you don't have to be working 120% of the time, right? Like people work 9 to 5 and then they get the rest of the day to do whatever the hell they want, right? Like, and so I think same kind of thing applies to music. It's like have dedicated time that where you're like working towards your goals and like know what you're working towards so that you can set the goals to really be able to accomplish what you want to, but also like give yourself the time to like rest and recuperate and do the things that you genuinely enjoy, even if they're not productive, right? Like at the end of the day, if they make you happy and they make you feel like you've recovered, like that is the most important aspect of the journey of life, right? Just
Absolutely.
enjoy your life.
Perhaps the definition of productivity that does not include rest and enjoyment is not a worthwhile understanding of it.
No.
What are we producing at that point? That's not the life we want, right? If productivity is about producing the dream life, then rest, recharge, and enjoyment has to be a part of that recipe.
Absolutely. You can't create at your best if you are not at your best, right?
Amen. That's a good word.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. If you could leave the world with one gift, what would it be?
A gift?
Yeah.
Um, I really like if I could give people like and it doesn't have to be like a realistic gift, right? It can be anything.
Anything.
I really wish I could give people the ability to find what they love to do.
Hmm.
Because like for me, like I've been able to live such a fulfilling life and I think, in the pursuit of trying to figure out what life is really all about, it's like I mentioned it a couple times, but it's really just about enjoying the time that you have, right? And I think a lot of people just don't understand that, they're so um caught up in this system of like, like a lot of it's like fame and money, a lot of it's success, a lot of it is like people are chasing like things that they think will make them happy, but a lot of the time when they get them, they're just like they feel empty, right? Like just they don't feel fulfilled, and they want more, right? Which is where I think a lot of like greed comes from, right? But it's like if I could really just show people like, hey, like this is the thing that makes you like genuinely content and happy, and like you should focus like as much time as you can doing this, like I think the world would be a way better place, right? Like because people would actually enjoy living their life. They wouldn't hold so much resentment or negativity that they like express outwards to people because they're frustrated with the way that things are going because they're not doing enough of the things that they love to do, right?
Amen.
So yeah, that's the gift. That's the gift that I would give to people is the ability to show them what it is that they love to do.
That's I love that you said that because I feel like in my own life as a coach, that's like my goal with people. It's like let's deconstruct what you think you are, who you think you are, and really let's get to your core values, your core interests, because if you're not living through them, then you're not living your life. You're living some other societal, parental expectation of how you believe you ought to live, and that's not a meaningful life.
No, I mean people might think that it is, but yeah, like really, there's really no other place to be than doing what you love to do, right? Like that's the highest form of living, I think, in my opinion.
We're in agreement there.
Yes, sweet. I'm glad. I'm glad. Then maybe that's why we're such good friends because we hold such similar mindsets.
Appreciate that. Koji, what are you working on? What can people expect from Koji Aiken, artist, D&D?
D&B, drum and
D&B,
bass.
D&B, not Dungeons and
Yeah,
Dragons.
yeah.
Hey, yo.
Let's see. We got a couple tracks coming out. I'm trying to shoot for about a track a month of the next couple of months just to kind of consistently build and explore different sounds and stuff. Got lots of shows coming up. I'm booking a couple. I'm running a new series out of Harbor Event Center. Do you know the place? Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we're using one of their smaller rooms to like build some new shows, and then got a couple festival bookings that I'm excited to announce later this year. So yeah, really just trying to dive